on satellite, on Freeview, on cable, on radio, on mobile, on the web and around the world. This is First at 9 on Other Derana 24/7.
Long queues, circulars and assurances. Lanka IOC hits back on fuel shortage allegations. Government, however, assures 2 shipments. Illegal occupancy. Accusations levelled in Parliament, saying IOC currently using Trincomalee oil tanks illegally. Fasting for solutions. Medical Faculty Students Parents Association continues Fast Unto Death campaign. Discussions with officials fail. Gearing up for the budget. Central Bank Governor Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy elaborates on fiscal discipline.
So you have to have the fiscal rules and governments abiding by those fiscal rules. Then the flexible inflation targeting regime will do its job.
Nuclear and missile threats. US President says his nation is committed to working towards a diplomatic solution with North Korea.
With that being said, I really believe that it makes sense for North Korea to come to the table.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammika Ekanaika. Now, our lead story this evening is the fuel crisis which continues to grip the nation. Hope, however, seems to be dawning with the Secretary to the Ministry of Petroleum Resources Development, Upali Marasinghe, assuring that the delayed fuel shipment will arrive in the country by tomorrow evening. Marasinghe had also issued a circular declaring that fuel should not be distributed in means other than pumping to vehicles until the crisis is averted. However, in a complete U-turn, Minister of Petroleum Resource Development, Arjuna Ranatunga, withdrew the particular circular with immediate effect this evening.
Other Derana witnessed long queues near fuel stations in Colombo and other cities across the country for the 5th consecutive day today.
पेट्रोल तो अपने हाथ हाथ नहीं दांगिन्ने मित्र
इथियोपिया वगैरह टकराते हैं मैं वगैरह टकते हैं
यार दें मैं पैक किनो मित्र डाइल एक कोई नॉल हुए ना कम हेटे ना कम मित्र डबला इंडे ना इच्छाई वेंडे
तेरे टैंकी इंडिया है कम इंडिया है अभी इंडिया है
We also observed long queues at fuel stations in Colombo last night. Many fuel stations were closed following the fuel shortage during the day. Meanwhile, MPs representing the joint opposition from the North-Western Provincial Council attended the Provincial Council meeting today in this manner, claiming they were not able to pump fuel to their vehicles. Secretary to the Ministry of Petroleum Resources Development, Upali Marasinghe, meanwhile signed a special circular pertaining to fuel distribution management today. The circular notified owners of fuel stations not to distribute fuel through means other than pumping into vehicles. However, Minister of Petroleum Resources Development, Arjuna Ranatunga, ordered to withdraw the particular circular with immediate effect this evening. Meanwhile, fuel trade unions expressed their views on the crisis at a media briefing.
If there is sufficient fuel, then distribute the stocks as usual. They inform everyone on the 27th that the shipment won't arrive. What they wanted were commercial gains. The government should take the responsibility. Just because one shipment got rejected doesn't mean the whole nation is thrown to the streets. If the IOC, which has a market share less than 20%, could do this, what would happen if they get the entire share?
Meanwhile, Secretary to the Minister of Petroleum Resources Development, Upali Marasinghe, discussed the delayed shipment.
The shipment is to arrive at 11:30 p.m. tomorrow, but we noticed that it will arrive much earlier at about 7 p.m. We'd be able to distribute fuel island-wide by day after tomorrow.
Meanwhile, First at 9 inquired about the shipment of the substandard fuel and other rumoured controversies from Managing Director of Lanka IOC, Shyam Bora.
I am unable to understand what does the substandard means. The product which comes in the ship belongs to the supplier. It doesn't passes the legal handing over of product till it comes in the tanks or it passes the flange of the onshore tank. Product doesn't belong to Lanka IOC. It belongs to Total. Number 2, yes, the product was tendered by us. As per the standard operating practices here, the product is required to be tested in the laboratory of CPC and CPSTL. Before that, the product cannot be allowed to unload at any of the terminals. I don't have any legal ownership of the product. So whatever is being said, this needs to be understood in a very legal and professional way.
Lanka IOC has a market share of 16% within Sri Lanka.
We are definitely responsible for that 16% of the market share. In this case also, product doesn't meet the specifications, but there was some remedy. Because of the crisis, because of the inventory which was available in the country, the best solution to overcome is to filter it. And the filtration could have been done by at the shore or by ship to ship. We told supplier that this option is not accepted and you please bring us the fresh product. The ship which was to come on 2nd of CPETCO was also delayed. Every day the CPSTL is releasing good quantity of the petrol in the market and the people are getting, but because of the panicky which has been created, which has resulted in all these things. Yesterday also good quantity was released by the CPSTL and we also released approximately 400 something odd metric tons, and today also we are releasing 150 KL product from Trincomalee and some product will be released from here.
Now, the topic of the prevalent fuel crisis was at the centre of attention in Parliament today as well, with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe stating that another consignment of fuel will arrive in the island on the 9th or the 10th. In the meantime, several other parliamentarians also expressed views on the matter during today's parliamentary session.
The
Petroleum Corporation does not have enough space to store fuel. There are 99 fuel tanks in the Trincomalee port and they were given on a 35-year lease to LIOC in 2003. Since they didn't go for a proper lease agreement from the 1st of March 2003, they occupy the facility illegally. Therefore, they only use 8 tanks at the moment. A cabinet decision was taken to give 10 of the rest of the tanks to your ministry. Another cabinet decision was made on the 6th of June by the Prime Minister to change the above-mentioned cabinet decision. Therefore, it is true that the vessel didn't arrive when IOC needed. The second main issue is us not having enough storage space. Therefore, this government should think whether to give our resources to IOC again. When the agreement was entered into in 2003, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation had not made any use of it. That's why India agreed to sign the agreement. We were going to fully implement it, but the government changed. If our government had prevailed, all the tanks would have been repaired. Again in 2015, we came to an agreement with India to develop these tanks. Ceylon Petroleum Corporation doesn't have capital. It still has a massive debt. If we don't want India, at least we could have developed them. Ceylon Petroleum Corporation couldn't even do that. We're holding discussions with India to develop this. China is going to establish a refinery in Hambantota. I don't agree with the fact that LIOC should be responsible for this. I too can show who delayed this. LIOC brought a vessel to this country. Because it was rejected twice, we took a decision on principle to reject the vessel. A ship we were supposed to receive is delayed by 7 days. The ship is due to reach Colombo by tomorrow night. Distribution of fuel will become normal by the 9th. During today's cabinet meeting, I requested the President and the Prime Minister to appoint a special team to conduct an investigation into the matter since some of the incidents are unfathomable. If LIOC isn't good, why didn't the previous regime cancel it and chase them away? You said that there was political influence to accept substandard fuel. You should reveal who influenced you. I won't let any harm befall on this country. Regardless of who pressurizes me, I will not release this fuel. I don't care if I'm sent home. The President or the Prime Minister never pressured me to release this fuel. An issue has arisen in the country and let me solve it. The President spoke to Indian High Commissioner and 2 ships will arrive on the 9th or the 10th. I saw some people waiting in queues for several hours. Some even blamed me as my vehicle passed by. We understand that the inconvenience caused and we are sorry about it. The Parliament was not the only forum where the topic of the fuel crisis was discussed, as several parliamentarians and politicians expressed their views on the matter at a number of media briefings today. There is a conspiracy, with or without the government's knowledge, to let the whole of Sri Lankan economy be swallowed by the Indian economy. If this is the situation, with them being given a part of the fuel supply process, imagine the possible effects if the EDCA was to be signed or if we give them the Matala airport, the oil tank project in Trincomalee, as well as the shoe production companies. India opposed when the cabinet paper was issued to use the newly developed oil tanks. So they stopped it. These are problems. We have the facility to store about 90,000 metric tons of oil. That will be sufficient for 45 to 50 days. So there is suspicion over what our officials did until all of that oil is gone. There can't be an issue related to fuel just because there was substandard fuel in one ship. There are suspicions as to whether this was well planned. There was only one thing we couldn't take back from what the previous UNP government sold. That is the Lanka IOC. Do you see the situation now? There is nothing Minister Arjuna could do here. They amended the Act and took away powers of the CPC. Approval was given to establish 100 IOC fuel stations, and now that number has reached more than 350. They will also give away all oil tanks in Trincomalee. 2/3 of the parliament is required if such agreements are entered into with foreign companies or a foreigner. Then only can such an agreement be legal. Minister Arjuna Ranatunga explained this whole fuel problem to the Cabinet of Ministers. Following his request, the President agreed to conduct an investigation to get to the root of the issue. Under the Cabinet's approval, Ministers Partli Champigaranavaka, Anura Priyadarshani and Dr. Sara Tamunugama have been appointed to support Minister Arjuna Ranatunga to find immediate solutions to the problem. No, let's not misunderstand. This isn't a conspiracy by the IOC. They only bring in oil for their own fuel stations. Sipetco and IOC store their oil in the same storage facility. So it's a different matter when the IOC's oil shipments gets rejected. Sipetco not receiving the necessary stocks of oil is another different issue. There won't be any revision of fuel prices. IOC also made a request, but the government's stance is not to revise fuel prices. Now, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says all government institutions will be interconnected by year 2018 via a cross-government network system. Speaking at the launch of Sri Lanka Government Network Project 2.0 this evening, the Premier added that digitalisation is vital if the country wants to remain competitive with other major economies.
The Lanka Government Network 2.0 aims to connect all the government institutions in a cost-effective and secure manner. An initiative of the Ministry of Telecommunication and Digital Infrastructure and Information and Communication Technology Agency, the project will initially offer up to 100 Mbps mile connectivity to all government locations through fibre optic media. The project launch was held under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
We have already connected 3,000 government institutions, but once we distribute tablets to all Gram Nilladhari officers, this platform will be complete. By next year, we hope to digitalize our entire government administrative system, and we must develop this technology over the next 4 years. Our world economy is highly competitive, and it is because of digitalization that developed countries have been able to remain resilient. It is understood that we would be able to remain competitive only if we improve our technology. We could have absorbed the benefits of this earlier. The General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Minister Duminda Dissanayake, says that majority of SLFE members are keen on contesting the upcoming local government polls under the symbol of the hand. He made the remark at a media briefing in Colombo today. We have not yet decided as to which symbol we will be contesting under, but many of our SLFE members have said they would like to contest under our party symbol. The finalised list of nominations for each district will be announced officially after the Elections Commission announces a date in December. Members of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and other parties of the UPFA have expressed interest in contesting under the symbol of the hand. Some parties affiliated to the UPFA have, however, suggested to contest under the beetle leaf symbol. We will be holding discussions over this. We have no intention in contesting the upcoming election together with the United National Party. May it be in the upcoming election, provincial council elections or the general election, we will not do so. The Sri Lanka Ramanya sector says there is no fundamental need to introduce a new constitution to the country. These views were expressed at a media briefing convened at its headquarters in Colombo. It is the view of the Ramanya sector that unlimited powers vested with the executive president should be restricted. We have no problem about amending the electoral system, and there is no issue about ensuring the rights of all ethnicities. If they change the constitution, the government should shoulder the responsibility of protecting and enriching Buddhism. We can see the premonition of changing powers of the president pertaining to devolution of power escalating to a birth of a new state. In the last couple of days, the joint opposition presented their demands and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has agreed to all of them. The President said he will consider opinion of all parties and all religions by convening conferences in order to arrive at a decision. It didn't take too long until Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe proposed to include the same process under the Constitutional Assembly.
Ranil Wickremesinghe mahatmaya දැන් යෝජනා කරනවා.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Derana 24/7.
Welcome back. Now, Deputy Minister Dr. Harsha De Silva says that the government is embarking on policy regulations to create an economy that is linked with the rest of the Indian Ocean region through navigation and maritime links. Speaking on the government's Vision 2025, Dr. Harsha De Silva said that government is committed to positioning Sri Lanka as a regional platform to bring trade and investment together.
Everybody is becoming very interested in this part of the world, and that is why we are also taking a proactive step. We're working with the Australians on this also. Prime Minister made this speech at Deakin University about a year ago that Sri Lanka would put its hand up and say, look, we'll take the initiative to have some sort of exploratory talk among the major players of, or the major users of the Indian Ocean, so that we could move towards some sort of rules-based order in navigation on this great ocean. So if we are going to leverage Sri Lanka as the center of the Indian Ocean, and it is the center of the Indian Ocean, then we must not only become a player in terms of trade and commerce, but also political, take some leadership, right? Ensure that access is not denied, and more than that encourage commercial and non-commercial vessels movement.
The Deputy Minister, while emphasizing the importance of creating a conducive investment regime in order to reopen trade in the region, hinted on what to expect through the upcoming budget.
We are positioned in a very interesting place and an interesting time. And it is up to us to leverage this. Our job is to balance the major powers in the Indian Ocean, Chinese and the Indians, along with our traditional friends for the growth of our country. So that's the challenge. I don't consider Sri Lanka as a South Asian country. What is SAARC? SAARC is dead. Think about the broader vision for this country. It is about leveraging our position. It's about building bridges from this island, Sri Lanka, to various places. It is about opening up trade. You will see in the budget, is there media here? Right. Okay. You will see in the budget many trade positive statements. Is that good?
Now, the Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy, points out that ensuring fiscal discipline in the country is vital for the country's forward march. Announcing its monetary policy for the month, Central Bank kept key interest rates unchanged with the objective of maintaining inflation at single-digit levels over the medium term in order to facilitate a sustainable growth trajectory. Speaking to media at the Central Bank today, Dr. Kumaraswamy said they want credit growth to slow, while a change in credit composition is also beneficial for the country.
As you know, credit growth peaked at about 28%. I think that was about middle of last year. You had a peak of 28%, and since then it has been coming down, and it has been sticky downwards. We concede that. Or we would like to get it down to about 15-16% by the end of the year. Even now, net credit to the government has been relatively high. Credit in the private sector we're still not seeing investment. There hasn't been the pickup in investment. This is, of course, domestic investment that we're talking about, and as you know, even foreign investment has not picked up as much as we would have liked. So that is really the challenge.
Dr. Kumaraswamy also commented on the cause of rising inflation.
The peak in inflation is not due to demand-side pressure up to now. It is due to weather-related disruption to supplies and to the tax adjustments, particularly the VAT. So to change monetary policy at this point to address that problem would not be appropriate. So it's about time we grew up as a country, really. And we need to have the fiscal discipline. Otherwise, we'd be in serious trouble. I mean, it's simple as that.
He also expressed views on the upcoming budget.
If the budget is well aligned with the government's 2025 vision document, which would then be an indicator that there is likely to be predictability and consistency in policy making, I think you will probably see sentiment change, investment pick up. This is a personal view, I mean, not a central bank view or a central bank governor's view. I think when formulating budgets, it's good not to be too ambitious. It's better to have a few good proposals which you can implement and which will have a significant impact.
Now, to give you an update on oil prices, the global rally in stocks showed no sign of slowing as upbeat investors pushed the most widely tracked index of world stocks up for a 9th straight day. The latest leg of the run came as Japan's Nikkei hit its best level since 1992. Germany's DAX scored a record high, and the first of Europe gained as a 2.5-year high in oil prices lifted resources stocks again. Oil prices largely held on to their gains after posting the biggest rise in 6 weeks following Saudi's move, which had seen the Crown Prince tighten his grip on power and crank up tension between the kingdom and Iran. US crude steadied at $57.24 in Europe after going as high as $57.69, and Brent crude futures were at $64.04 after touching a peak of $64.65 per barrel. And now to give you a market update, the Colombo stock experienced negative returns for their second consecutive day, but on thin volumes. The ASPI closed at 6,595.89, down 6.83, while the S&P SL20 declined 4.76 to close at 3,878.42. Market turnover dropped to about 250 million rupees. Foreign investors were net sellers, creating a net outflow of 82 million rupees. Foreign participation accounted for about 28% of the total turnover.
The market capitalization at the end of the day was 2,998.99 billion rupees. Top 5 gainers of the day were SNB Leasing, Non-Voting, Beruwala Resorts, Brak Lanka Finance, Autodrome and People's Merchant, while the top 5 losers were Adam Capital, Hapugastana Plantation, Asia Asset, Serendip Engineering Group and Lanka Aluminium. Today's foreign purchases were 32.9 million rupees and foreign sales were 114.96 million rupees.
Now we move on to one of the other more talked about issues in the country. The Medical Faculty Students' Parents Association says a meeting of their representatives with officials of the Presidential Secretariat ended in a failure. Accordingly, the parents' Fast Unto Death campaign, organised by the association, will continue.
The Medical Faculty Students' Parents Association yesterday embarked on a fast unto death, demanding an acceptable solution for the sitem crisis. The demonstrators engaged in the fast in front of the Colombo Dental Hospital. A number of political representatives arrived at the site today.
We urge the government to resolve this issue quickly without sacrificing these parents' lives.
Meanwhile, university students held a protest today near the Lipton Circus, completely obstructing one lane of traffic moving from the Lipton Circus towards Boralla.
All this government did was to give fake solutions instead of implementing what was told during discussions.
Meanwhile, representatives of the Medical Faculty Students' Parents Association participated in a discussion held at the Presidential Secretariat.
The President entrusted the officials present with the task of paving the way for a solution. The President's Secretary, however, said that he does not have formal authority in this regard and asked us to speak with the committee chaired by Deputy Minister Dr. Harsha De Silva. He, however, refused the request. Officials of the Presidential Secretariat said that a committee has already been appointed in this regard. They can't issue a circular or permanently stop enrollment of students to CITEM.
Subsequently, members of the Medical Faculty Students Action Committee embarked on a protest march from the University of Sri Jawardhanapura to the Nugegoda flyover. Meanwhile, several protests were held across the island demanding that the government provide an acceptable solution to the CITEM issue.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.
Time to have a look at news from across the globe. Now, claiming his nation is committed to working towards a diplomatic solution with North Korea over its nuclear and missile threats, US President Donald Trump also warns that Washington is prepared to use a full range of military options if necessary. Trump, who is currently undertaking the second leg of his 5-nation Asia tour in South Korea, made these remarks at a joint media briefing with South Korea's President Moon Jae-in held at the presidential Blue House in Seoul today.
The United States stands prepared to defend itself and its allies using the full range of our unmatched military capabilities if need be. The crucial U.S. security partnership with South Korea is just one aspect of our enduring alliance. We hope to God we never have to use. With that being said, I really believe that it makes sense for North Korea to come to the table and to make a deal that's good for the people of North Korea and the people of the world.
Meanwhile, several rallies were staged in South Korea by both supporters and protesters of US President Donald Trump in front of US military base Camp Humphreys today as he visited the base.
Let's take a look at some other stories making news across the world.
The massive leak of financial documents known as Paradise Papers today revealed that Apple sidestepped a 2013 crackdown on its controversial Irish tax practices by actively shopping around for a tax haven. Meanwhile, the Paradise Papers also revealed that Formula One champion Lewis Hamilton avoided paying taxes on his £16.5 million private jet via an Isle of Man scheme. Bahrain's Foreign Minister Sheikh Khalid bin Ahmed Al Khalifa called for the suspension of Qatar's membership of the Gulf Cooperation Council and stressed that Bahrain would not be attending a GCC summit in which Qatar would be present. Commenting on the 5-month-long diplomatic crisis, political analysts say Qatar will bring a negative impact to the Gulf Cooperation Council. Hundreds of endangered sea turtles were found dead floating off the Pacific coast of El Salvador today. The authorities are yet to determine the cause of the deaths of these turtles.
You are watching Sri Lanka's trusted news brand, Other Derana 24/7.
Time for sports. Now, Australian fast bowler Mitchell Starc today made history by taking an astonishing second hat-trick in the same Sheffield Shield game. Starc took the last 3 wickets of each innings, finishing with 7 in total as his New South Wales side beat Western Australia by 171 runs.
No doubt intrigued by the cameras around. Here is Starc.
Mitchell Starc stunned Western Australia in the first innings with a skittling hat-trick to clean up the tail. The 27-year-old fired in 3 consecutive Yorkers to claim the wickets of Jason Behrendorff, David Moody and Simon Mackin as the visitors folded for 176. Starc repeated his first innings heroics with another hat-trick to clean up the remaining men in the Western Australia's batting order and win the match for New South Wales. Starc is the first bowler to complete the feat in the same Shield match and is only the 8th player to do so in a first-class game.
New South Wales have ended this game in brilliant fashion here at Hurstville Oval. A hat-trick in the first innings.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Quite a feat indeed. Now let's cross over to Sadini Upeka at the Other Derana Weather Centre with your forecast for the next 24 hours.
Good evening and welcome to the Weather Centre. Now tomorrow's temperatures will average at around 27 degrees Celsius in coastal areas, hitting a high of 29 degrees in some places. Cool temperatures in the low 20s will prevail in the central hills. Now a low pressure zone will form across most parts of the island during the latter half of the day, bringing widespread showers and thunder showers, especially in the southwest and central hills. That's it from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
And that's it from First and 9. But before we go, we'd like to take you to the Hanthana mountain range, which is a popular tourist destination among hikers in Sri Lanka. The range consists of 7 peaks and grants a panoramic view of the central hills in the country. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.